Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let me see if we have anybody else in the waiting room here. Don't think we do. Yes, I do. Are you in, Mark?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here, Jim.
Hi. Okay, we were in meditation, so I didn't check.
Yes, okay, me too.
All right, all right. Ooh, I figured it out. Look at that. So, do you happen to remember where we were from last week, Mark?
Not, I remember what we were talking about, but not where it was in the book, no.
What were we talking about?
Let's see.
I think we finished with the qualifications of a fit student, and I think we started on subject-object discrimination, didn't we?
Yes, and then further, I think. Is there no one else there? Let's see.
No one else remembers. We're all old.
Okay. Okay. David, hi, and Scott. Okay.
All right. So we'll have Scott read. Scott, would you read verse 14 for us? I think we're around 14 or 15.
Okay. All this born out of ignorance is dissolved at the dawn of knowledge. The various desires form the doer of action. This is the way of the inquiry.
Okay, so what we're talking about now is what is the cause of my bondage? In, again, Vivekachudamani, which is a more expanded form, we get the very famous 7 questions. What is bondage? How has it come about? How does it continue to exist? How do we get out of it completely? What is the not self? Who is the real self? And what is the process of discrimination? So the cause of the problem is spiritual ignorance. We have to understand that it is not what in philosophy we would call an ontological problem. It's not that I, Jim, a suffering, miserable creature, need to get better become a godlike being or achieve some other identity or state. It's not like I get glued to Brahman. It's not like the goal is to become a Mahatma. If we go down that road, we're always disappointed. The problem philosophically is an epistemological problem. It's a problem of knowing. Hang on, let me see if this is a student. Well, if it is, they're not coming in. So, one of the clearest examples I like to use is the story of Moses and the bulrushes. So Moses is born an Israelite. That's his identity. Pharaoh wants to kill all the firstborn children, so his mummy puts him in a basket, sends him down the Nile. Pharaoh's daughter finds him. Moses is raised as a prince of Egypt. He then discovers that no, he's not an Egyptian. He's an Israelite. He doesn't change ontologically. There's no change in his physical nature, but there's a profound change in who he thinks he is, which totally transforms his life. So also, you and I are raised thinking, I am the body. From time immemorial, ignorance is beginningless. But what we need to do is rediscover who we are. Now, what is the antidote for ignorance? And I usually say in class, okay, I'm thinking of a song lyric. What's the song lyric? Or do you know what the song lyric is? No, you do not know. How long have you not known it from time immemorial? So I then will say, ask me what the song lyric is. Jim, what's the song lyric? We all live in a yellow submarine. Now you know. The antidote for ignorance is knowledge, not action. But how do I get the knowledge? Vicharena, by means of inquiry, investigation. That's how I gain knowledge. So what is the investigation we need to undertake? Who am I? It's only one part. And what is this world and how has it come about? That's to do both. So no matter how many pilgrimages we do, how pure our diet is, how many rituals we do, that is of value to purify the mind. That becomes the wonder sword of discrimination. But in and of itself, it won't solve the problem. We have to investigate. Who am I? Now, listen very carefully. If we externalize self, as if it's some idea out there, Mark, what do you think about the self? Well, that's a little different than what Scott may think about the self. Well, so-and-so, what do you think about the self? As if it's an idea out there. That does nothing to free us. We have to start with our direct experience. You don't get another self who sees the phone. I do. That's yourself. Yeah, but Jim, I who see the phone am a miserable, suffering creature. That's what you think. Now with a quiet mind, let's investigate what actually is that direct experience of I. Any questions about this theoretical or academic learning about the self as if it's something outside and the direct experience investigating? Any thoughts or questions about that? It's critical. It's critical. Now, what is our primary tool for this investigation? The first one is Drishya Viveka, discrimination between the seer and the seen, between the subject and all the objects, between the self and the not self. We go through basically what Shankara calls the Panchakosha, the 5 sheaths. So if you look around wherever you are, you see an object in your home. So you see a bowl or a vase or a chair. You know, I'm not the chair, I'm the person looking at the chair. Subject, object. We go to the body. Actually, the body is an object of cognition. I have known its growth and development, whether it's healthy or ill, etc. These are all objects of awareness, not the body. Prana, energy rises and falls. I may do Kundalini practices, whatever. But who knows the energy body? I do. I am not energy. Manas, I am not feelings or judgments. I know them. Thoughts, I'm not any thought. I'm not even that very subtle Ankriti. The I am thought in the mind. I am tall, I'm short, I'm sick, I'm well, I'm male, I'm female, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm successful, I'm a failure. All those thoughts. I know those thoughts. And I'm not even the folded up darkness of deep sleep. Who am I? I am that by which everything is known. But itself cannot be known as an object. Yet it's not unknown. Are you you? Yeah. How do you know it? You don't see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. That you are not unknown. I mean. All right, number 15.
As the clay is the material cause for mud pots.
A little louder, please, Scott.
As the clay is the material cause for mud pots, so too the one immutable, subtle existence, reality, is the material cause for these two, ignorance and desire. This is the way of the inquiry.
I'm sorry, there was a bingy sound and I lost the last part of your words.
This is the way of the inquiry?
Yes. So now what we want to do is inquire into the phenomenal world. So scripture gives us 2 phrases which seem to be contradictory. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is real. The phenomenal world is illusion. Oh, it's all illusion. It's not there. But then Chandogya says, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this, Sarvamidam, which means the phenomenal world. Kalu, very important word, means verily. This is the truth. Is Brahma. Well, is the world an illusion or is the world Brahman? Yes, both are true. And here we're introduced to a philosophical notion called material cause. In yoga philosophy, we break causation down into three elements: material cause, instrumental cause, and efficient cause. Example is the potter making a pot. The material cause of the pot is clay. That's what we make the pot out of. The instrumental cause is the potter's wheel. That's what he uses to make it. And the efficient cause, who does it? The potter. So we're now going to examine the material cause of this world, both the phenomena that I see and the body, mind, intellect itself. So he says, just like clay is the material cause of the pot, the vase, the bowl. Those are just name and form, nama rupa. The material out of which it's made is clay. We also get the classic image, all ornaments are gold. Gold is the material cause of the earring, the bracelet, the necklace, etc. Easiest way to understand this is go to our direct experience. So if you imagine a mango, in your imagination, you have a subject-object relationship. I visualize a mango. Mine's very ripe, very fragrant. Now, what is the material cause of my imaginary mango? Nothing but the fabric of my own mind. It's the stuff of consciousness, chitta. What instrument did I use to imagine the mango? Did I have to put a mango tree inside my head? No. I am the instrumental cause. Who did it? I did. So this is how we reconcile those two statements. Did you turn into a mango? No, of course not. And if you stop visualizing the mango and visualize some dog poop, are you affected by either? Do you become mango or become dog poop? No. It's just imagination. Yet you are the very material out of which the mango is made. Now, listen very carefully. This is so important. What is the difference between visualizing a mango and dreaming about a mango? The similarity is both are just imagination. They are sankalpa. The dream mango is no more substantial than the imagined mango. But there's an important difference, and that difference is in the dream, the precondition is falling asleep, which is the non-apprehension of the waker and the waking state world. And as the result of that non-apprehension, to the dreamer, the dream mango seems real. It's not what it is. It just seems that way. So also for this world. In fact, it's all Brahman. It's all just consciousness. Leela, the play, sport of the infinite. The material cause of the phenomenal world is nothing but consciousness. Now, the Lord is not deluded by it. Actually, from our direct experience, you never cease to experience that you are you. But in the mind, you and I are subject to the power of Maya, universal delusion, such that I take the dream of the infinite as substantial and real. Then I think it is joy-giving and misery-producing, and I chase after Laura Boy. So our job is to wake up from being awake. How do I resolve all the tribulations of the dream? Wake up. How do I resolve the tribulations of the waking state? Wake up from being awake. Any thoughts on this before we go on? So, as always with Shankara, there's a practice implied. And that practice is to continue to think about, to meditate on the idea that all this is nothing but a dream. The little box showed up again. Let me see if we have another person here. No? Seems to be okay. Okay. It just showed up out of nowhere. So the idea that the material cause of the phenomenal world is consciousness alone. The substratum, meaning my very experience of I, is never touched by it. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. All the names and forms are going to eventually end, including the body itself. But you are completely safe. Next verse.
I am one indeed, the subtle, the knower, the immutable reality, existence, the witness, So undoubtedly, I am that Brahman. This is the way of inquiry.
Yes. I am that. What was the first part? I missed it. I'm sorry, Scott.
I am one, indeed, the subtle, the knower, immutable reality.
Okay. So the first idea, I am one. The idea here is that the self in me is not like the self in you. There's not billions of little selfies running around. What I think, won't go there. Never mind. So the meditation that helps with this. I see the world from my viewpoint. You see the world from your viewpoint. I'm aware of my body. You are aware of your body. I'm aware of my thoughts and feelings. You are aware of your thoughts and feelings. But when you look behind your eyes and notice the noticer, nothing there. Just the vast, empty space of pure awareness, Chidakash. And when I look behind my eyes and notice the noticer, it's the same experience. The self in me is not like the self in you. The self in me is the self in you. So in the scriptures, we have this term kevala or kaivalya, which means alone. Some people think that it means, oh, I'm supposed to go sit on top of a mountain and never talk to anybody again. You may do that if you wish. That's not the deeper meaning of the term. It means there is no otherness. There is no otherness. Now, practically speaking, you're sitting at home and the mind longs for something. I'm lonely. I wish I could talk with so and so. Or, oh, I wish I had blah, 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 blah. Or, this is terrible. I wish that would go away. Practice is lean into that and remember it's the longing itself that's my suffering. What does the mind really wants to abide in the self? I think I want people, places, things, and conditions because my mind is deluded. Instead, stop a moment. Bring the mind back home. Oh, because there is no otherness. And if you seek oneness with God, I have news for you. You already are one with God because you are that. What we are looking for, we are looking with. All we need to do is let go of the struggling. let go of the compulsive investment in the phenomenal. Any thoughts on this?
Jim?
Yes.
Yes. The self is timeless, and it's been there since beings have been around. So the self in us is the self that's been in every life form and every human being since from time immemorial, right? It's
Absolutely.
Humans have problems with it because of the delusion of consciousness that we're our bodies, and
That is the Lord's Maya Shakti.
right.
The Lord has created the world such that human beings think they are the body. Now, maybe lions and tigers and bears think they're their body too. I suspect they do.
Mhm. Right.
Dolphins, I'm not so sure. They may be more spiritually evolved. Now, people found a planet around Alpha Centauri, God only knows. But the self is the ground of being of everything. There's kind of a movement that's arisen in the past, maybe 50, 60 years, where people have given the earth a name, Gaia or Gaia. And the idea is that the earth is sentient. And people ask me, do you think the earth is a sentient being? And I say, of course, because there's no place where sentience is not. Dark matter is sentient. One homogeneous, infinite mass of pure consciousness in which the entire phenomenal universe appears. Now, let's nuance this. So when you have a dream, let's say you dream about your wife. So is the Maureen in your dream sentient? Well, she may walk and talk and things like that, but the Maureen of your dream is you appearing as Maureen.
Right.
All of this, including you and me as jivas, as individuals, is Brahman appearing as these characters. A wonderful exercise is to remember when you're conversing with anybody, be the clerk in the store, look them in the eye and remember the being looking out of those eyes is the self, myself, same being looking out of my eyes. Good exercise. Was that helpful, Mark?
Yes, thank you, Jim. All those.
Next verse.
Atman is one indeed, without parts, while the body is made up of many parts. But still, they consider these two as one. What greater ignorance can there be than this?
So the body, as well as everything else, is multiplicitous. hands, nose, feet, toes, navel, etc. Part has the body has many parts. Scripture says the self is one without a second. Advaya, not two. I am not the body with its parts. I am the witnessing consciousness that illumines it. So, again, practice. I like to use almost like a mantra. If I feel like a person, I'm deluded. If I feel like a person, I'm under the hypnotism of ignorance. If I feel like a person, my mind presents to me a goal, and then I need to struggle toward that goal. That's samsara. That's the karma chakra. Goes by many names. Yoga says, rather than being caught up in resolving the struggle of ego, see if you can drop the struggler himself. See if you can remember, go home. Who am I? There's a very famous hymn that Shankara wrote, Brahmagyana Vali, it's called. And actually, Swamiji took the first stanza of it and put it as an opening meditation in his version of Atmabodha. And it's Pratas Marami, etc. He translates that as, in the early hours of the morning, I meditate on the essential self, etc. Actually, Prata Smarami means in the early hours of the day, I remember. There's a wonderful term in Sufism called a zikr. Are you familiar with this one, Scott?
No.
Zikr is usually means like if you're in the Mevlevi order, the zikr, you're going to go and turn, do the Sufi turning and stuff like that, or there may be some ritual that you do. Actually, the word zikr in Arabic means to remember. It's the same in Hebrew. Hebrew and Arabic are very close. So it's not just the dualistic notion, I remember God. But here Shankara is saying, remember who you are. Once I remember, I am that witnessing consciousness, then I have the wherewithal to drop the insanity of the struggle. And do as you will. If I feel like a person, I'm deluded. Any kind of person. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
The pure consciousness, Atman, is auspicious, and the fleshy, impure body is inauspicious. Yet they see identity in them. What greater ignorance can there be than this?
Pure consciousness is auspicious. Here, Shankara is pointing at what I call the pleasure principle. I have recently found out that there's some psychologist who coined that term and means something totally different by it. What I mean by the pleasure principle is the dynamic of enjoyment in the world. So we're going to let the prayer stone here stand in for whatever it is that I determine as auspicious, as good. It can be a person, place, thing, or condition. So the first thing I do is I determine that it's dear to me, Priya. I want a BMW. What do I do about that? I acquire it in some way. I buy it, I earn it, I borrow it, I steal it, I construct it, whatever it is that I want. That's called mola. My endeavor to get proximate, close to my object of desire. Then when desire and object of desire become one, when I get it, that point of pleasure is called pramoda. What actually happens is for a moment, the mind ceases its longing. The mind ceases its desiring. It's a taste of my own self-nature, however, done in ignorance. When I do that, and especially if I repeat it, I will develop an attachment to the object. Sanskaras, vasanas. The great cosmic joke is that all I ever get is a taste of myself. So, Jim, you mean good sex, good food, good music, good works of art? They all do the same thing to the mind? Yes. It will vary in intensity and will vary in duration, depending on how easily the object was acquired and how completely it satisfied my desire. I get deluded by the various sensory experiences. In the mind, I think the object did it, when in fact I simply used the object to induce the state free from longing. Now listen very carefully. In the beginning, we talk about the need to give up our attachment to worldly enjoyments and turn the mind toward the self. Well, I'm going to give you a deeper truth. There's no such thing as worldly enjoyment. What do you mean there's no such thing as worldly enjoyment? This is really good dark roast coffee. Actually, dark roast coffee. Why do I like it? Force in the past. I acquire it. I drink the coffee. I have used the coffee to taste myself. Problem is, the coffee's cold. Not nearly as nice as it was a couple hours ago. And that's the way of the world. Things in this world are little and temporary. And the law of diminishing return, one chocolate is wonderful after I've eaten a pound of them. Swamiji always used to say, if sex were satisfying, we'd only do it once. So what the yogi learns to do is cultivate a non-mediated experience of the bliss of the self. How? First, insight, viveka. First, we have to see the disappointing, temporary nature of the phenomenal world. We have to get rid of our delusion that the world can deliver something that it never can. And then cultivate mind abiding in the self. All of this is so clearly put forward in the second chapter of Gita. Verse 54, Arjuna says, what are the marks of the man of wisdom? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he sit, etc.? And we've talked about this before. When a series is given in scripture, the most important is given first. So verse 55, the first thing that Krishna says is, when a man casts off all the desires of the mind, O Partha, and is satisfied in the self by the self, then he's said to be a man of steady wisdom. There's yoga. Why? Just as Shankara has said in this verse, yourself is auspiciousness. Many people get a little bit confused. We talk about the three indicators that point to the self: Sat Chit Ananda, existence, pure awareness, and bliss absolute. Well, I get that I'm pure existence. I know I shine as the light of awareness. But Jim, I'm not blissful. I don't know what this Ananda is, because if it's there all the time, I'm sure not blissful today. I'm not too happy today. So our understanding of bliss is it's not Ananda, is not an emotional state. I start by defining Ananda as no sorrow reaches there. Pain gets to my body, suffering gets to my mind, doubt gets to my intellect. Nothing touches me. But the deeper understanding, Ananda, bliss absolute, it is the fountainhead of joy. It is the source of all joy. Because yourself is bliss absolute. When the mind is absorbed in the self, it is blissful. This blissful mind. Some of the terms the scriptures will use. Atmaramana, to revel in the self. Brahmananda rasa. Rasa means juice, taste. The person has the taste, the juice of the bliss. So Shankara is saying the person who's the bhogi, B-H-O-G-A, who goes after the world. A bhogi is someone who practices bhoga, sense enjoyment. But man wishes to be happy. He wishes to be happy by trying to satisfy as many desires as possible. The end result is more desire. And if we've ever had a friend, or maybe ourselves, have been afflicted by any kind of compulsion or addiction, we understand. For the addict, one is too many and 1,000 is not enough. The yogi also wants happiness. He practices yoga. But he engages in a way of life that reduces the number of desires entertained. The more we understand myself is what I'm looking for, it is happiness, then the world just easily falls away. It's too much trouble to go do all that shit. All right, very important point to understand the auspiciousness. In one of my favorite hymns, Nirvana Shatakam of Shankara, the refrain, the words are, Chidananda Rupaham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am of the form of bliss consciousness. And Shiva not only means the God Shiva, the ground of being, pure awareness, but it also means auspiciousness. I am Shiva, I am auspicious. Chidananda Rupaham, I am the form of this consciousness. Shivoham, Shivoham. Any thoughts on this? Next verse. This is, we're now up to, is it 16 or 17, Scott?
20.
We're all the way to 20. Okay, we're moving right along.
The Atman, the illuminator, is absolutely pure, and the body, the illumined, is inert. Yet they see identity in them. What greater ignorance can there be than this?
So this idea of being Vishuddha, extremely pure. There is something in us that longs for purity. That I'm not sullied, that I don't have all these vulgarities, My heart is clean. I'm free from regret for the past. I'm free from vengeful thoughts about the future. I want to be pure. I want to be clean. Vimala, without any dirt, without any taint. This building of character is a noble thing. However, it is like trying to count to the highest number. Think. The equipment is by definition finite. We can never make the finite in. But the good news is yourself is already pure. So in the beginning, in order to quieten the mind somewhat, we do try to live a little more purely. I more likely would say pick the middle path. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little, healthy diet. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. Keep the body clean, keep it healthy. It's a car. Body is ultimately, in the end, an instrument for the realization of the self in this very body. But get out. Swamiji used to thunder, shut up and get out. Ooh, and get up and want to leave the satsang. No. Shut the mind. Get out of the equipment. Realize that you are already pure. And your mind is just like my mind, just like everybody else's mind. Somaji used to say, the mind is a sewer. The body is only barely tolerable with an enormous amount of care. Just don't bathe it or wipe it for a week and see how attractive it is. So it's a paradox. Yes, we work on building character. And if you are called to that, you can continue that for a lifetime. But always understand there's no there to get to. You will always fall short of perfection. But you, the self, don't try to be a goody-goody. Don't be a jerk out of compassion for the rest of us. Don't try to be an enlightened sage. Instead, realize, oh, I'm not a person at all. Chidananda Rupa. Shivoham, Shivoham. Bliss consciousness. I am auspiciousness. I am Shiva himself. Okay, I think this is a good place to stop today. What verse did we finish? 20?
Yes.
So we'll start with 21 next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om. Thank you all, and especially thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Jim.
Scott,
everybody.
how's your lady friend doing?
She's doing better today. She actually cleaned the house a little bit, so she has some energy today.
Good. Well, my thoughts and prayers are with you both.
Thank you.
All right. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Om.